Oh, good thing I got another one.
Poodle, quiet on set, please.
I know.
We're going to be talking about what we learned from our trip last year and what we're planning on doing differently this year.
So, dealing with the heat.
Yeah, number one right off the bat is the heat. We were not prepared.
Well, so last year we went around like the first week of September. So it's still really hot. Like, it's still that summer, like, heat going on, especially in Florida with the humidity and everything.
Yeah,
so
the humidity and the sun just itself when it's beating down on you and you're walking around the park and there's like, you have to approach it a certain way because it will very quickly make you miserable, and it will very quickly make you just want to get out of the heat and just go crash and do nothing, which happened to us a few times.
Yeah, I mean, like, we were there for what, 5 days? Same time we're going this year. Basically 5 days. Every single day, it just got hotter and hotter and hotter every single day. Like, I don't know what it was, but by the last day, it was like 100 degrees, if not more.
It was definitely by midday of each day, it easily reached over 100. The humidity and the heat index and everything else, like, it was insane. And we, to be fair and to be honest, we did not do a good enough job preparing for it. We definitely have learned some things that we're going to try to implement this year that are different from last year.
So, like, a few things that we used to help us, and then a few things that we now know that we're going to bring this year. Last year we used a mini fan. Like, you can get you can get it at Target. Like, that's where we got ours.
We found ours at Target, and it was one of those things we just randomly walked past, and I was like, oh, this is a cool little thing. It's like a necklace. But it has a little fan attached to it, and it, like, if you're wearing the necklace, it blows up at you. But, like, it's helpful. And
it helps, yeah.
Unfortunately, we only got one.
The one that we
bought, the button was stuck. It was broken. So we had to sit there and hold it.
And then we were, like, really hard.
We were arguing and trying to share it, going back and forth, and, like, it was a whole thing. So we bought more of those. We have bought 2 of those that hopefully actually work. And we're gonna bring those because it was actually helpful. It was nice to have a fan. Yes, we're watching the Festival of Fantasy Parade, which is at the hottest part of the day. Like, it's literally midday when the sun is just right above you. And I remember in last year's vlog, we had brought out our umbrella and we were using that for shade. I felt ridiculous because I never understood the concept of using an umbrella when it's not raining, but it definitely helps.
It works because you got the shade, so you're the sun's not beating on you.
Yeah.
And if you do want to go watch the Festival of Fantasy at Magic Kingdom,
smart about it.
You
find a spot in the shade, or like,
not even
stake out your spot because it's hot.
So if you want to bring an umbrella to help with that, do it. I mean, ours was small. It was small. It's not like
it, so you know.
Yeah.
The other thing that we have is we got these cooling towels.
Yes, which we didn't have last year, but now we've used them on other vacations. Yes. But yeah, you can get cooling towels, okay?
Which I didn't even know were a thing that existed.
No.
So
basically, you take it out of the package, you keep the package, but you submerge it in, like, water. You use that and you just put it around your neck, and it keeps your neck cool, like, especially the back of your neck. Especially you got the fan and the cooling towel going, it'll be nice and cool.
So the mini fans, small collapsible umbrella, cooling towels if you can, and a good water bottle that's gonna keep something cold for like all day. Yeah, no, we found our water bottles at Target and they worked really well. Like, we were pretty impressed by the fact that it stood up to the Florida heat, because we would still, granted some of the ice would be melted, but then we'd pour a water bottle in there and it would be like so cold and so nice and refreshing, and that's so important. And on that note, talking about staying hydrated, I think one of the most important things to note, especially in the heat or just in general for a Disney trip, is to listen to your body. Like, it's a lot of stress you're putting on your body. You're walking just countless miles a day all over these parks. You're in this heat, you know, and your body's not used to that kind of stress. So you really get worn down a lot easier than you realize. And then because you're all excited, because, you know, you're in Disney and everything's exciting, you don't really realize it until it sneaks up on you and it hits you and you're like, wow, I want to die again. So like, yeah. I think it's important to, you know, take breaks. And I think a huge problem is a lot of people get into the feeling of kind of what we call the park abandonment guilt. Yeah. You don't want to spend time away from the parks because you feel like, you know, you've paid to be there and you've paid to be at the parks, and if you're spending time outside of the parks, then like it's a waste of money or you're not getting your money's worth. Yeah. But at the same time, like,
you feel like you gotta go all day, like you can't stop, like you gotta make sure you get everything in. And you know what? We understand that. Yeah. You can go back to the resort and relax. Go utilize the pool there. Like, you paid for the resort.
Yeah, you're paying this money to stay.
You're paying this money to be there.
If you're staying on Disney property, that is.
Yeah, if you're staying on property.
If you're staying on property, you paid that money to stay there. And the pools are great. You know, the rooms are really cool, and a lot of people kind of take that for granted, I think, sometimes, and they just kind of use it as to sleep overnight. And I know that I'm definitely guilty of doing that. So it's not the end of the world if you take some time out of the parks and just do what's good for your body. Like,
literally, just go back for like maybe an hour just to either take a nap or relax and sit by the pool and like go swim or something.
That happened to us so many times last year. Is we just get up and super early, do rope drop or as close to rope drop as possible and be there all day, and then by the time midday hit with heat and us being tired, just crashed.
Yeah. And even like if say it is too hot and you don't have anything planned for that time, go see a show.
I think that's a lot to be said for in general. Anywhere in a park, there's so many great shows that I think get overlooked a lot of the time because it's not a main attraction, and it's so easy. Like you just go in, get off your feet for a little bit, be in the air conditioning, and kind of kill two birds with one stone. So moving away from the heat a little bit and onto another thing that we kind of noticed that we weren't quite prepared for, I guess, is some of the Disney transportation issues that we ran into, which you may have seen a few times in the vlogs from last year. Number one is if you have an early morning breakfast reservation, it could be a little tricky to get there, especially if you don't have a car there, which we did, but I don't know why we didn't drive last year. We just felt it would be easier to use Disney transportation, and that was not the case. So early morning reservations, depending on which park it's in, a lot of times, depending if there's extra magic hours, if there's a special ticketed event at that park, they will have buses running, I think, like 2 hours prior to open. We took a bus to Studios, and then from there we were trying to get to the beach clubs for Cape May. And we were like, just take a boat over, the friendship boat. And those weren't running at that early in the morning. Yeah. And we had already discovered the night before that the pathway to walk between Studios to the boardwalk and the beach club is all torn up. So there was no way, it would take a lot longer for us to walk all the way around the parking lot and through the walkway. Yeah. So that was kind of out of the question. And then we just so happened to be lucky enough to find a beach club bus that pulled up. But I mean, it just kind of, sometimes it can be a little tricky with early morning reservations. Sometimes you gotta kind of be a little abstract in how you get places. It's not always very straightforward. So yeah, that's just some things we were kind of unprepared for. And to be entirely honest, it's not the most timely or reliable. They have the screens at all the bus stops that tell you when they're arriving, but those times are always changing, usually later. Yeah, so if you're kind of depending on getting some time early, leave at least like a good 15 to 20 minutes to wait for a bus to even get there first, because you really don't know. Like, it's just kind of unpredictable. I think the only other thing really is just kind of to remind ourselves to be better at going with the flow of things, and that kind of ties into listening to your body a little bit. Just kind of, I think, again, it goes back to the whole, like, there's such a, you know, and being that there's such a heavy social media presence of Disney, it's like everybody has there's a perceived notion of how you're supposed to do Disney, and like that doesn't work for everybody. You know, you have to go at your own pace and do whatever. Like, I had been so many times, and I had gone with my family, and we were always go, no, you know, non-stop. And she's much more laid back and just kind of go with the flow, whatever you want to do, let's kind of do this. And so for me, that was very much like it was like culture shock. Like, it was very confusing because I didn't quite understand that concept. Yeah. So it's okay to slow down, it's okay to just do whatever you want. I think a good rule of thumb is probably just to pick 3 to 5 attractions for that day that are your like must-dos, and then after, you know, find time to fit those in throughout your day, and then after that, just, you know, do whatever. I think a lot of people put so much pressure on getting that one fast pass for that big ride, or that, you know, big that reservation at that big restaurant. And honestly, like, most of the memories from your trip come from just hanging out with, you know, the people you love and the people that you're spending time with. So, you know, just kind of go with the flow. And for us, being better at that, I think that's something we're gonna try to do this year. Yeah.
And we're gonna be better at vlogging this year too.
I'm just hoping it's gonna go a lot more smooth this year. We're gonna kind of understand a lot more. Like, we know what to expect now.
We got more memory cards. We got more batteries.
All right. So to recap, remember to stay safe and plan for the heat, to listen to your body and go with the flow, and to remember that Disney transportation is not always on point. Sometimes it's not the most reliable, and you gotta kind of plan around for that. So I think with that, that's gonna conclude what we learned last year and probably what we're gonna do differently this year. But
our next video that we're gonna have next week is our packing guide for our upcoming trip. You guys are gonna be able to see everything that we're bringing with us. That way, if you are going on a trip, you'll be able to, you know, have some idea of what's good to bring on your trip. Thanks guys for watching, and make sure you subscribe and like this video.
And until next time,
see you real soon.
Bye.
Bye. I totally forgot that was the closer. Jesus.